As expected, the Bank of Canada kept rates on hold today and maintained their cautious outlook. I'm here with James Rossiter from TD Securities to talk about what stood out in the statement. James, what caught your attention today?
Hi, there were a couple of things really. One of them was the downward revision to growth that the Bank of Canada made. They revised down growth this year and next year, and one of the consequences of that was the output gap now closes in 2018. This is something that they look at very, very carefully, and in the past they've anticipated closing in 2017. So pushing that out a couple of quarters into mid-2018 is a big deal. The other thing that really caught my eye was the downward revision to core inflation. They expect that to weaken down to about 1.7% by the end of 2017. The prior forecast was around 2%. So that's quite a big downward revision there. Now, beyond that, by the end of 2018, they do see it recovering to 2%. So they're still on target in that sense.
So you highlighted some of the potential risks, exports, inflation. Do you think this opens the door for a potential rate cut in the future?
No, we don't. Our baseline scenario really is the Bank of Canada remaining on hold until early 2019 and then hiking rates at that point. But that said, there definitely are some risks building in the economy. They did flag that the composition of U.S. growth hasn't been as constructive for Canadian exports as they previously expected. And so if we were to get significant disappointments, say on the export side or on the manufacturing side as well, these are things that are a key part of the bank's narrative, then that certainly opens the door to cuts. But again, that's not really our baseline expectation.
So let me ask you about housing. We've seen a lot of intervention from the government more recently, the Vancouver Foreign Buyers Tax, CMHC stress testing. Do you think this gives the bank a bit more freedom on that front?
Yes and no. I mean, I guess, in a certain respect, it does take some of the heat out of the market. And, if you can help households become less indebted, then perhaps they can sustain an interest rate cut or interest rates that are lower for longer. But we don't really view the latest package in that sense. We really do think that this housing market required a bit of the froth to be taken out of it. For the Bank of Canada to go and cut rates, then really you're just offsetting the effect of the potential benefits that we would get from these new measures.
And now jumping to the loonie, we saw a bit of a spike right after the rate announcement. Has that changed your forecast at all?
No, it hasn't. We saw a little bit of a strengthening in the loonie, but generally speaking, we're still on track for the end of the year for about 135 for dollar CAD. It's just a little bit of noise as markets interpreted the monetary policy report, the risks around inflation as well. But generally speaking, we don't see anything here today that would change our forecast in a material way.
Thanks very much, James.
Great. Thank you very much.